Hey guys, welcome back to ProductNation, and in this video, we're talking about the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra and all the features covered with this new phone. We're gonna find out whether or not this is worth your hard-earned money with that very expensive price point. Let's get started. The Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra is the newest flagship from Samsung, and we're really keen on trying this phone out. The reason we took such a while to release this video is because we really wanted to get our hands on it and find out what's really different from the previous generations, what they've changed, what they've improved, and the overall ecosystem. But before that, let's start by talking about the overall design and build quality. The design on this is absolutely stunning. The build quality is brilliant. You have that very nice glossy texture on the sides, while a really nice matte finish on the background. The phone feels great in the hand, it feels premium in your hand, and of course, we can't not talk about the S Pen. That's where it shines. The fingerprint sensor carries on from the Note 10. It's the exact same fingerprint sensor that we've seen before, but if you don't like that, you also have an iris recognition Face ID thing, so that's great as well and works really fast. In my opinion, I would still stick to the face unlock over the fingerprint just because the fingerprint isn't the greatest. The screen display is exactly the same as the S20 Ultra in terms of the refresh rate. We have 120Hz, and the same problem from the S20 Ultra has transformed here as well, where you cannot customize the resolution based on the refresh rate. You would have to stick to 60Hz if you want to use the Quad HD Plus, which is where it really shines, but that restriction is still there. Another really annoying thing is when you put it down on a flat surface, that camera bump is going to cause a lot of issues with the wiggle and bumping, and it can be really annoying unless you put on a case or you just hold it in your hand and not have to deal with that. Now, speaking of the stylus is a lot of fun to use. It's the main reason people buy the Note 20 Ultra. One of the main selling points of the Note series on Samsung is that stylus and the functionality and the features it offers as well. Now, what they've done in this generation is basically just improve on everything that they did right with the stylus to begin with, which means your gestures have been improved, the way you use it and the usability overall for the stylus has been improved significantly, and also the latency on this has been reduced all the way down to 9 milliseconds. 9 milliseconds for the information to travel from the stylus to your screen, which really makes it look like you're on a piece of paper and actually using it on paper. Very, very responsive, very, very snappy and quick. The software it's using is the same as we have seen before, and the animation and gestures all are exactly the same. Using the phone is obviously a lot of fun because of that screen being so punchy and vibrant. Samsung really does have the best displays. This is a 6.9-inch Quad HD Plus display AMOLED with 120Hz, and it is stunning. Samsung does screens really well, and this is definitely the best. For specs, you have a 4500 mAh battery, and we got the Exynos 990 version. More on that later because it's slightly disappointing. The camera on this is obviously top-notch, one of the best Android camera experiences you can get out there in the market right now, and the camera really does shine. You still have that 8K video, 108 megapixel camera, 12 megapixel ultra-wide, and up to a 50 times in hybrid zoom. Obviously, the zoom capabilities on this still surprise me to this day, up to 50 times, and the image quality retention is brilliant. You still get that tiny little square in the corner, as you guys can see, to see how far in you're zoomed in, and the image performance is really great, even up to 50x in zoom. Alright, so now we're doing the front camera test, recording at 4K 30 FPS. This is capable of doing 60 FPS, but we're not doing that because we're uploading at 30, so it's kind of useless. But this is the 4K footage coming out straight from the front camera on the Note 20 Ultra. Very similar to the S20 Ultra. As you can see, these color tones, the skin tones are very pleasant looking. It looks very realistic and true to life. Even my white t-shirt isn't overexposed as other phones would do. We have a really nice exposure with the HDR as well as the skin tones. Let's talk about the Pro video mode. Now, this is something they had earlier, but they've kind of improved on it and made it a lot better and came back a lot stronger. You get to control a lot of the aspects on your video recording, especially what we're going to be talking about is the microphone and how you can control it and switch it around for what you need. The quality overall is obviously really great, better than using third-party applications because it's built in, and the performance with the aperture control, shutter speed control, white balance is all perfect. Make a flatter tone for yourself and you're good to go.
Right now we are recording with the Omni mic.
We're recording with the Omni mic.
Now we're recording with the front mic.
So you should be able to hear Alex know me.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Now we're recording with the rear mic.
Rear mic, I should be a little bit clearer. Alex should not be so clear.
So right now we're shifting to Bluetooth mic.
Okay. Bluetooth mic, we're connected to the Galaxy Buds Live, so you should be able to hear me super clear now. Alex, say something.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
I don't think you should be able to hear him. I should be super clear. Even if I move out of frame, you should be able to hear me. I walk back into frame, you should be able to hear me. from the Buds Live, and we'll see how the connection works out. Now, this is obviously one of the greatest features we've seen, especially with the Buds Live. You really get to use it like a professional camera phone. Now, talking about the camera still, let's talk about the image quality and overall image performance, especially with that 108 megapixel. It is definitely not just a gimmick. The quality retention is great, but the zoom on this, going from 0.5 all the way up to 50x retention, is brilliant. Now we're going to zoom in onto that little square paper there, and you can really see how much detailed retention there really is. Now we went all the way from over here to there and retained all that detail with that zoom. Now if you want to take 108 megapixel and just crop in, you still have that option to retain that detail. Absolutely brilliant. Still kind of unnecessary if you want to take smaller images. It takes a lot of size, but side-by-side comparison is really great. Now the selfie camera is also really, really good. The performance is really good. I still find that it smoothens the skin a lot, but it does look really good overall. Speaking of skin, the portrait mode on this is absolutely brilliant. You can take a telephoto portrait or even a wide portrait, and you can see the blur and the bokeh fall off is very realistic and looks really, really nice. Alright, so this is the 8K video recording test on the Note 20 Ultra. What you're seeing is the back camera recording at 8K resolution with 24 frames per second. Now the caveat is still that it's recording at 24 FPS and not 30 FPS. So Alex, if you make a few slight motions, we should be able to see some motion blur and weird artifacts because the video is at 30 FPS and this is doing 24. But the overall quality of the 8K video is absolutely mind-blowing. Later I'm going to show you on the same video that you're watching right now, zooming in and zooming out, how much detail it maintains on my beard line maybe. Maybe the details on the camera will maintain a lot of details when you zoom in the 8K video. Now here's another example of the 8K video, and as you can see, you retain a lot of detail even when you zoom or crop in. Now in the gallery app on the right, you can see I'm zooming in and retaining all that information and sharpness even though it's a moving video. 8K works really, really well. Now gaming performance on this is actually a lot of fun. The screen is punchy and 120Hz in refresh rate. It was super smooth, no lag whatsoever. Really immersive gaming experience. Nothing to complain about here. I was playing at max graphics, max resolution, and the performance was just great. Really can't complain about much there. Now if you're using the Galaxy Buds Live or the watch, the connectivity is a lot easier now, especially with that open up case and it shows you the battery percentage. We've seen this in other phones before. This does it really well, so the ecosystem connection is really good. Now similar features from the previous generation carried forward here, like the reverse wireless charging, so you can charge up the Buds Live on it or the Galaxy Watch 3. We're going to do a full review on both of the Buds Live and Watch 3 later, so be sure you stay subscribed. Both these accessories are a lot of fun, but we're going to talk about them in the next video, so stay subscribed. Now on to more serious things, we're going to be talking about the difference between Snapdragon and Exynos. This is the first time we ever did a Geekbench performance test. We don't usually believe in benchmark numbers because we believe more in real-world review over these numbers. Because you're going to be using the phone day-to-day, these numbers don't really matter. However, this time, because of the price point of the phone and what you should be expecting for a phone that costs so much, we kind of had to run the numbers to really see what some people are getting and what some people are missing out on. You're paying the same amount of money for a bit of difference in performance. Now, Jerry Riggs Everything did a really good video on this. You guys should definitely check that out, where he compared Snapdragon and Exynos, and you can really see the difference in performance, not only in the multi and single core processors, but also the heating, the battery depreciation, and performance longevity overall. So as you can see, the chart that he has put up on screen really helps you understand the difference between Qualcomm and Exynos, and it's a little bit disappointing for people who are spending so much money, even a little bit more for the Exynos version. It can be a little bit frustrating. So that's something to note as well. So that's about it, guys. That is the end of the video. We talked about everything new with this phone, the Pro Video features, the Snapdragon performance versus Exynos, which is a little bit of a bummer, but overall the performance on the phone is quite exceptional. Whether or not it's worth that high price point really does come down to you and whether or not you find all these features with the S Pen that's significantly better than everything else. But yeah, that's about it. That's our review for the phone. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button and do consider subscribing for more content just like this, and we'll see you again in the next video.